I've always been a bit of a night owl, but this one night, this one experience, made me rethink everything I thought I knew about being alone in the dark. It was a Tuesday. I remember that because I had just finished my late night shift at the diner. It was almost 2 in the morning, and the streets were completely deserted. The world was asleep, or so I thought. My apartment was on the 3rd floor of an old, creaky building. The kind where every floorboard has a story to tell. I wasn't scared of the building's noises. I was used to them. They were like a familiar, comforting soundtrack to my solitude. That night, though, the soundtrack changed. I got home, locked the door. I always double-checked the lock and went through my usual routine. I kicked off my shoes, dropped my keys in the bowl by the door, and headed to the kitchen to grab a glass of water. It was dead silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. As I stood there, sipping my water, I heard it. A soft thump. It came from the living room. My cat, Patches, was sleeping on my bed, so it wasn't him. I froze, my hand clutching the glass. My heart started doing this frantic tap dance against my ribs. "Hello?" I called out, my voice sounding small and shaky in the quiet apartment. Silence. I told myself it was just the building settling. Old buildings do that. It had to be that. I tried to shake it off and walked back towards my bedroom. As I passed the living room, I glanced in. Everything was just as I had left it. The worn-out armchair, the small coffee table, the window looking out onto the dark street below. Nothing out of place. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding and continued to my room. I changed into my pajamas and climbed into bed. Patches stirred, let out a little meow, and curled up against my legs. His presence was comforting. I picked up my phone, planning to scroll for a bit before trying to sleep. That's when I heard it again. This time, it wasn't a thump. It was a scrape. A long, drawn-out scraping sound, like furniture being dragged across the hardwood floor in the living room. Okay, that was definitely not the building settling. Every muscle in my body tensed up. Patches must have sensed it because his head shot up, his ears swiveling towards the door. His body went rigid. That's when true, ice-cold fear started to creep in. Animals know. They always know. I slowly, ever so slowly, slid out of bed, trying not to make a single sound. I crept to my bedroom door and pressed my ear against the cool wood. I could hear breathing. It was faint, raspy, and it wasn't mine. It was coming from the other side of the door. My own breath hitched in my throat. Someone was in my apartment. My mind raced. The door was locked. The windows were all shut. How? How did someone get in? I backed away from the door, my eyes wide in the darkness. My phone. I needed my phone. I fumbled for it on the nightstand, my hands shaking so badly I almost dropped it. I tiptoed into my closet, pulling the door shut until only a tiny crack remained. I crouched down in the corner, behind a pile of old clothes, making myself as small as possible. I dialed 911, my thumb hovering over the call button. I was terrified that the person on the other side would hear the call, would hear my voice. Then, the doorknob to my bedroom started to jiggle. First, it was gentle, as if someone was testing it. Then it became more forceful, rattling in its frame. A wave of pure panic washed over me. This was real. This was happening. I squeezed my eyes shut, praying it would stop. But it didn't. A heavy thud hit the door, then another and another. Someone was trying to break it down. I finally pressed the call button. I kept my voice to a barely audible whisper, telling the operator that someone was in my apartment, that they were trying to get into my bedroom. She told me to stay on the line, that officers were on their way. She asked if I was safe. Was I safe? I was hiding in a closet while someone was trying to break down my door. I didn't feel safe at all. The banging stopped. A horrifying silence fell over the apartment once again. It was even worse than the noise. My ears were ringing. I held my breath, listening. What were they doing? Then I heard that scraping sound again, but this time it was closer, right outside my bedroom door. It was followed by a soft, rhythmic tapping on the floor. Tap, tap, tap. It sounded like someone was crawling. The minutes felt like hours. I stayed crouched in the closet, phone pressed to my ear, listening to the dispatcher's calm, reassuring voice on one end and the terrifying, unexplainable sounds on the other. Then I saw it. Through the crack in the closet door, I saw a shadow move under the bedroom door, a sliver of darkness sliding back and forth. The tapping got closer. I was in my room now. I could hear those raspy breaths, clearer than before. They were just feet away from where I was hiding. I could smell something too. A strange, metallic, coppery scent mixed with the smell of damp earth. My blood ran cold. I bit down on my hand to stop myself from screaming. Suddenly, flashing red and blue lights filled my bedroom window, painting the walls in straubing colors. I heard a loud, authoritative voice from outside. "This is the police. Come out with your hands up." The raspy breathing stopped. The tapping stopped. I heard a frantic scramble, the sound of something heavy crashing, and then the shattering of glass. The living room window. They were leaving the same way they came in. The police had to break down my front door to get to me. When they finally opened my closet door, I just collapsed. They found the living room window smashed and a trail of muddy footprints leading from the fire escape through my living room and right up to my bedroom door. The armchair had been dragged right in front of it. On the floor, right outside my closet, were strange, dirty fingerprints and a small, tarnished silver locket I had never seen before. The police searched the area but never found anyone. There were no suspects, no leads. They couldn't explain how the person got in initially, since there were no signs of forced entry on the front door or any other windows. They called it a bizarre attempted burglary, but I knew it was something more. Burglars don't crawl. They don't just breathe and tap on the floor. They don't leave behind old, strange lockets. I moved out the next week. I couldn't spend another night in that apartment. Even now, years later, I can't sleep in a room without checking the locks 3 times. And sometimes, in the dead of night, when the house is quiet, I think I can still hear it. That faint, raspy breathing just on the other side of the door. Thanks for sticking with me through that. It's a story I don't tell often, but I felt like I needed to share it. If you have any of your own chilling experiences, I'd be interested to read them in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories. Stay safe out there.